I'm finding so much inspiration from other creators, and so I want to take you along trying Joie's recent 3D collage hearts, as well as Tina's Locket style charms, and see how I can integrate them into my traveler's notebook junk journal. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. First, let me quickly show you the 3 pages I did off camera. One was this first page. I just kind of did a very simple collage. I used one of the paper dolls from Louise. I will link these for you. They are super cute. Then I added some other random bits, and a quote up here says, "I choose to be grateful for all that I have." I thought that was a good one for the cover. I glued that onto one of my note cards. I will link these as well. And then I added another handwritten quote saying, "Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more," by Melody Beatty. In case you haven't seen how I made this junk journal insert with the pocket and everything, I will have the video linked for you in the description box below. So this one we did together. This one I did off camera. I just used one of my cabinet cards and one of my butterflies, and this is just some stenciling I did with some texture paste, and I added "Find Joy in the Ordinary." And then there was one more that I did. This one we did together. So this collage I made using one of Louise's printables from her The Day After Valentine kit. I had this one left over from something I had printed, so I thought one of these smaller, or one of these narrower pages would be perfect for this. And I just added a vintage floral image from a book in the back, and this is one of these stickers that you get when you receive packages, and I added "documented," and there's some sewing here. So super simple, and that's all I did so far. So let's see how we can add Joie's hearts to one of our pages. So first I want to think about which page I want to add it to, because that will define the size of my heart. This one actually might be a very cute background. So Joie uses book pages, so I will do the same. And to start off, I need to know what size these can be. So I will take a book page and then mark the width and the height of this page, which will help me to figure out how big the heart can be. It doesn't have to be precise. So this is about the same size, and Joie makes a template in case you want to make more. I'm just going to make one now for this one page. Well, actually it's 2. You have 2 on top of each other. They have this cool 3D effect. And what we can do is we can fold it in half. So this is obviously going to be a heart that probably will look a little bit more whimsical because of the shape. So I'm just going to draw half of a heart. Not sure I like that shape. Let's see what this will look like. I actually don't want it filling up the whole page, so I'm cutting it a little smaller than what I had just drawn. Let's see what this looks like. I think that should work. Or is it a bit big? It might be a little bit big. Let me try to make this a little bit more narrow. I think I like that better. So I need 2 of these. So now I can just use this one as a template. Actually, let me just fold this in half. And then I just line these up. And I just need to draw half of the heart. So in theory, these should be the same. If I did it right. Yeah, they look the same. What Joie does is she collages on the one that's going to be on the top. So in the end, they're going to be sewn together right in the middle here. And the one on the top, she collaged on, and the one on the bottom, she just kind of colored in with different colors with her paint sticks, I believe. I have my little box of ephemera here. And I'm going to adhere them with my Art Podge, which is similar to Mod Podge, except it is not glossy. And I'm just going to pick some bits. Right on top here, I see this beautiful white flower. And actually, I love this on the heart, even though it takes up most of the heart. I think it's super cute, and it's actually even super cute with the text behind it. So I'm not sure I even want to cover up most of that. And I especially like the flower because my background is floral as well. So I think that is awesome. So maybe I just want a few big bits in the background sticking out here and there, but not covering up the whole text. And one thing I actually might want to add is a postage stamp. I'm not sure what color. Could just go for something neutral, like in the gray. So I have most of my stamps sorted by color if they have a dominant color in them. So this makes it super easy. Take a really old Austrian one. Maybe one of these. These are from the Digital Collage Club. Obviously, I'll be cutting it down. I do like that number peeking out there. Or do I want a green label, maybe? Yes, okay, I'll do like that. Since there's not so many pieces, I'm just gonna go ahead and do from the bottom to the top. Otherwise, I would do it the other way around. I always enjoy getting inspiration of what to add to my junk journal, whether it's a TN or something else, because I don't know about you guys, but I get bored quickly. So if I keep doing the same thing, I'm just gonna get so bored and stop working in my junk journal, which I don't want, obviously. So, and now I'll just cover the whole thing. That will also help it, give it a little bit more body, make it a little bit more stiff, which can't hurt. And before that dries, I can think about whether I want to add a small butterfly. I printed these are from my shop, but you can obviously use whatever you have. I didn't actually put a percentage in when I printed these, but when I said print, I switched to layout, and I said I want to print 4 pages per sheet, so then it looks like that, and then you just print that, and then you get this size, which is of course a lot smaller than you would get if you just print the sheet regularly. And I think this is a cute size for a lot of different things. If you choose for the layout 2 pages per sheet, then you get them around 50%. And so these are about 25%, and you can even make them smaller. Okay, so let's see, what color do we want? Do we want something yellowish? That is cute. We could even add 2. They shouldn't be the same then, I think. Yeah, I like that. So let's just add these. And now I'll quickly dry that off with my heat gun. Okay, everything is dry now, and I'm just going to cut off the excess from the back. And then I want to see if I can try to make some shadows around the butterflies and maybe even the flower. I don't know if this is going to work since I have the Art Podge on it now. I'm not sure. Let's just try this. I'm taking a charcoal pencil from Faber-Castell. Oh, it seems to work. I should have done that before I glued the whole thing down like I was showing in my last video with Louise's method of not gluing it down completely, just in the middle, and then putting the shadow partly underneath your element, because it looks a lot more realistic, because then you don't have this mini white edge between your element and your shadow. I'll show you that in a moment. Just tracing the butterfly, and I will distress this, but just so you see, do you see there's this mini white line between the butterfly and my charcoal. Let's see how it works. I'm just going to use this paper blending stump. If you don't have those, you could also, of course, just try a Q-tip. That would work as well, but this is nice because it has a pointy edge. Yeah, because we have a very smooth surface, it is actually taking away a lot of the charcoal as I'm going around, but I think it's still going to be enough to create a nice shadow, mostly. It's not ideal, I'm not gonna lie. What I should have probably done is added some clear gesso on top first. That would have been better. Yeah, not brilliant. Okay, let's do the same around the flower. It just gives the whole heart more of a dimension. Otherwise it looks too much 2D, and like it was just glued on, which obviously it was, but we want it to look like it's actually coming off the page a little bit. Not brilliant, as I said. It will have to do, because now I'm not gonna go over it with my clear gesso, because that would just now smudge everything. Okay, and of course I also want to ink this up to define the edge of the heart. So I'm taking my vintage photo, go around the edges. Joie then took hers to her sewing machine, and she added some cute zigzag stitching in some places, and she sewed right down the middle with her sewing machine with a straight stitch. I thought instead of using my sewing machine, I could try to do it with some hand stitching. We'll see how that goes. Just wanted to see. Okay, so this is our first heart, which is going to be the top one, and this definitely needs to be folded in half so that I will know where to stitch. And it will need to fold anyway. So I will just do that. Like that. And then we need the one underneath, which is this one. Now we won't be seeing the heart underneath that much because it is mostly going to be covered by the top heart. But what I thought we could do is maybe, because I have this card here that I have torn with these bugs on it, and I thought maybe I could tear around these bugs and then just add them to my heart and distress it, and then just maybe have those kind of peeking out. Let's see how that would look. I'm just gonna tear around them. Definitely don't want straight edges. Big ones on top, like that. I'm going to distress them first with my vintage photo around the edges. And then I'll glue them on with my tacky glue. And again, I'll just cut off the bits that are going over the heart shape. And then I'll ink up the edges as well. I feel like this one doesn't have to be as sturdy as the top one, because that one is not going to be bent. That one's just going to be glued onto the page directly. So now we need to choose an embroidery thread color with which we were going to stitch all the way down the center of the heart, and maybe we'll add 1 or 2 more stitches somewhere else. So do we want contrasting or do we want something to blend in? I think I like the idea of dark green. Or maybe a little lighter green. What about this one? Not something I would usually pick, but that could be cute. Or like a medium green. Or this one. This one is nice. Yep, I think I'll go for this one. So I want to make sure these don't move while I'm stitching, so I'm just going to clamp those down. I've threaded my thread through the needle, made a double knot. And I'll start from the back. So this we won't see because that will be glued down onto our page. And now I'm just going to make a straight stitch, or a running stitch, I believe it's called. Just in and out and in and out. I mean, I do love the machine stitching look, but there's also something very special about hand stitching, I think. Definitely takes longer and more dedication and more patience, but I think that does come through in the end, that it is just has just that little extra special touch, and it's quite therapeutic as well. Once I'm all the way at the top here, my last stitch was going down, and now I'm going to take away my clamps, because this next part I only want to go through the top layer. I could just kind of thread this through. I don't want to cut the thread and then start again. I just want to use the same thread. So I will come through one of the other holes right in between the two layers. So now I'm in the middle here, and I want to make maybe 2 or 3 crosses here, kind of like as a balance to these butterflies. And then I'll go back to the back side. And then actually we can just cut it off and tape it down. Just taking some regular tape to make sure that end is secured. Okay, so now we have the stitching here. Let's see what it would look like if we add it to our page. Now I'm actually thinking that it's kind of disappearing on this background. This is too much the same. So I think maybe we should choose another background for this. Could add it here and then add a quote or something here. I think I like that a lot better. Oh, and the bug size seems perfect for these huge stems that I have here. Oh, I like that. Yes, let's just do that. So let's just add some glue on the back. I don't know if I've mentioned, of course, I'm linking both videos below that I'm taking the inspiration from, both Joie's and Tina's video. So if you haven't seen those, I think you need to. Oh, that's so fun. I like it. It's such a cute idea. Let's see if we can find something to add here. I found this one, which says, "The desire to create is one of the deepest yearnings of the human soul." Unfortunately, I do not know who this is by. I would link a page with these different kind of quotes for you as well. And I think actually this one is really nice up here rather than down here. It's a bit too wide for down there, but I do want to keep the red border because I think it goes really well with the red that we have here, the thorns of the rose. So maybe we can add something else here. Let's just glue this down. And maybe we can find another bigger butterfly for the bottom there. Maybe orange or not, I don't know. What about red? The red, of course, is nice because then we have red, red, and red. I have my triangle. That might be good, but that is a very strong red. Maybe I have something just a tiny bit more subtle. There's also this one. I actually like that one. Let's see what it would look like if we add a bit of avocado dyed cheesecloth underneath. Not sure if that's a good idea. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. I'm not gluing all of it down, just the middle part. And the butterfly as well. I won't glue down all of the wings, just the middle part. I want it to still have a little bit of movement. Obviously, it's going to be squished down in my journal, but still, oh, you know what I want to do? Because I don't have feelers here. So I wanted to maybe add some twine. Let's try some of this. This is regular twine, like for sewing. And this is a black one. So if I just bunch that up and put that underneath, obviously it's not going to look like feelers, but at least it'll look like there's something. There. I would call that page done. I'll just put a date in pencil because I always want to know when I worked in my journals. I think that's a fun little page. Didn't take long and is definitely something a little bit different. So let's move on to Tina's inspiration. So Tina got her inspiration from Pinterest. So if you haven't checked out her Pinterest Picks series, I will link the playlist for that below. Those are really fun to watch and very different, of course, than what I'm doing in my Pinterest-inspired series, but the idea did come from her. So I tried to do what she did, and she made these gorgeous lockets. I didn't have punches, like she has the special punches, and also she tried it with 2 circle punches, but that kind of looked weird because the sizes were too different. If you've seen her video, you know what I mean. And so I wanted to see if I could do anything like that with what I have at home. So I first checked, my punches did not work. I didn't have any that were the right size to each other. So I checked all my dies and I found these here. So first I thought I would try these square ones. So I chose 2 of the smaller ones, these 2. And what I did is I lined them up. I used some thicker watercolor paper and I used that to cut out the frames. So I just put it like this in my die cut machine. I added some washi tape on top to make sure it doesn't move. And then I got frames. And then these frames, I actually used my gilding wax on, my copper beloved gilding wax, because I didn't have those metallic colors that Tina uses, and she also embosses hers. I didn't do any of that, but instead I just added some copper gilding wax instead, and I will show you in a moment what happened with those. But she had some vintage photographs that she used, and so I have these as well. These are again from my shop, and I will link those in case you need some of these. I have these cabinet cards, and they worked really well for this project by just die cutting them like this as well. And then of course, but you have to leave some space around because in the end, of course, it's a frame. And so you're going to lose a little bit of that image. You have to see which ones actually work for you. So I did that, and then she added some glossy accents on top, and I tried that with 2 different mediums. I have the Crackle Accents from Ranger, and I have this one, which is kind of like a glossy accents, a German version of it. And neither worked very well. I'll show you what happened. So these 2 are the ones with the glossy accent type, and they cracked because the paper, because I had just printed it on regular copy paper, the paper warped up. So when I tried to make it flat again, of course, it broke. So yeah, you could say this is extremely vintage, but you can actually hardly see the photo underneath. It's just too cracked. It was too much for me. And then the crackle accents looks like this, and you can also actually barely see the photo anymore. So none of those really worked for me, which was a shame. Oh, here's another one actually with the glossy accent type thing. So I thought, okay, what can I do instead? So I thought instead I would use like an acetate sheet, or you can use some packaging that you have. And I again used this on it to cut out the same shape. So now I can show you what they look like. Once they are glued together, they then look like this. So what I did was I cut once out the whole thing for the bottom, for the base. And then I cut out the frame as I was showing you from the top for the frame. And in between, I had the acetate, which had the same size as the bottom one, and I just glued it all together, and that way I do have this glossy thing in the middle, but I don't have the problem of the cracking. Tina managed to do it. Probably her base or what she printed on was thicker or something, I don't know. But then I thought these kind of looked too new, so I wanted it to look a little bit more aged, and I tried adding some alcohol ink on top of the wax, which of course had zero effect because you can't see it at all on the wax. So instead what I tried was to first add some clear gesso on it, and then to add some alcohol ink. So that then looked like this here. So when you compare the two, you see one looks a lot more aged. So let me just show you, because I have 3 more of these. So I've done these, and I have already added the clear gesso on these. But let me show, I have one, actually this one here doesn't have the clear gesso yet. So let me just show you how I did that quickly. I just actually put it on my finger. And then I went around it, and this probably would be better to do before you assemble it, before you glue everything together, but it's okay like this as well. So just putting it around the frame like that, and when it dries, obviously it's going to be clear. So then they look like this. And then I added the alcohol ink. This is the caramel one, which is the darker one, and I'm just kind of dropping it on there. Don't have to put it everywhere. And if by mistake you get some on the middle, you can just wipe it away, because that's acetate. Yep, so then we just let that dry, and then they will look like this one. So this one I'm very happy with. So I was thinking about how can I add this to my journal, and I thought, well, we can try to make a tag with it. So I was thinking, what could I use as a background for a tag? And I have these, which are the back sides of cabinet cards. These are all in German, because most of these are actually from Vienna, which I think is really fun. I will link these as well. You see there's lots of different ones, and I printed them into different sizes as well. So I thought, let's make a tag, and I think this, which one have I chosen? This one here. I think this one works really well with the photo, and I somehow want to make a tag out of this. Now, I don't want to cover up too much. I definitely want to keep the Fotograf, which means photographer. And I think I want to have another base around this as well. How about we try adding some corrugated cardboard in the background? Just maybe tear it a little bit more regular. Don't want it looking perfect. Okay, I think this size is good. Then I want to add some white gesso on this. Basically, I just want to grunge this up. Don't have to worry about the middle, because we won't see that. Next, let's try adding some alcohol ink. This is the butterscotch one. just to give it a little bit more vintage grunge goodness. Again, concentrating on the edges. Obviously, you could do something with watercolors if you don't have alcohol inks. And let's add some caramel as well, some darker bits. Yes, I am liking this. So this, of course, needs to dry now. In the meantime, I want to ink this up, and I'm thinking I also want to distress the edges a little bit. So I will just take my scissors and go around the edges, tear into it a little bit. So let's ink that up with Vintage Photo. I want a nice dark defined edge. And since we have the copper gilding wax here, I think I want it on the edge here as well. If you don't have gilding wax but you want this metallic look, you can of course use a metallic marker or maybe some metallic paint if you have that instead. So if we add this, I think that looks really nice. What if we add some cheesecloth underneath as well, sticking out? Yes, I think I like that a lot. Just adds to the grunginess. I think I'll just add some tacky glue to the top bits of the corrugated cardboard. Should be enough to make it stick. And to stick this background down, I'm going to use my 3-in-1 glue just to make sure it really sticks down well. You could also use your glue gun if that is your preference. I love that, super grungy. So if we add the photo now, I like it. Does it need a bit of cheesecloth underneath too? I don't know. Let's see. Yes, it totally does. Let's just distress it a little bit more. Again, I think I'd rather put this down with 3-in-1 glue. Then I want to ink up the edges on the outside with the Vintage Photo. I just love how dimensional this is and how many textures we have going on here. This is just brilliant. Thank you, Tina, for this beautiful inspiration. Wondering if I should put something like to make it a tag or something, but maybe I will just glue that onto a page. Oh, I think I really like it on this avocado dyed book page. The colors are gorgeous together. You could make it into a pocket, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just glue the whole thing down as it is. I think it is an absolutely gorgeous page. I love this. Of course, it is quite thick, so if you want something like this for your journal, just so you know that this is quite dimensional, obviously. I love it. This is my favorite page here so far, for sure. And then I also wanted to try doing something like this, but in a little bit of a bigger scale. So I used these dies here. So I used the largest one and the next smaller one, and I used the same technique. So I put these on this here. This is from the Wallflower Tim Holtz paper, and I just put this in here. I mean, obviously I put it on here like this, and again used my washi to make sure that they are spaced correctly, and then I ran it through and I had a frame. And then I just inked up the frame a little bit, which then ended up looking like this. And then I followed the same concept. I used the same big die for my acetate. And then I used the same big die to also get one of these images. So this was like from here. So I just took her out. And it doesn't matter that we have the white here because the frame will cover it. Since I wanted it to be a piece of my ephemera that I could take out and I wanted the backside to be nice as well, I took one of my back sides of the cabinet cards, so these that I showed you before, and I used the same die and got this one. So I think this makes a beautiful back side. So then the idea was I have this on the back, so I'll turn it around. Then I have my image, then I have my acetate, and then I have my frame, like that. The only thing is actually the frame does not 100% cover the white, so I'm going to put some distress ink over that so that we won't see that. So let's do that first. And then I thought we can also add some other things in here before we actually close it. So I'm going to take my tea dye for this because I think that color is closer to what the background looks like. And I'll take my blending brush and go over this. Again, this is just printed on copy paper. Yeah, I think that's better. Now, unfortunately, I had some water come on this print, so I'm also going to just cover that up. So what we can definitely already do is glue this on this. I will just use tacky glue for this. And now before we add the acetate, I wanted to add some other elements because I thought, you know, we have such a nice large surface here. Why not just add a few fun things? So I thought we could add this little torn piece of some machine zigzag sewing. And I have this moment from part of my Black Sentiments. And I thought we could even add a cute little pink butterfly on top here like this. What do you think? Does it enhance or does it take away? I think it enhances. Of course, these are gonna stick. So let's stick these down. I think there's so many possibilities with this. Okay, anything else? No, I think that's good. So now I'll just add some glue to the edge all the way around. Then we will stick the vellum down. And lastly, we can stick down the frame. I love the way Tina's turned out. Hers are really nice and like a beautiful gold. And she makes them really nice and glossy with the embossing and everything. Really cute. Just making sure everything lines up. Clamp that down to make sure it all sticks nicely together. Once that has dried a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edges, but I really also love that it has a beautiful backside. Now, how can we add this to our journal? And I thought actually it would probably look really nice in a belly band. And I think it will look really nice on a page like this. I do believe this is Japanese. Not 100% sure. Actually, it could be Chinese. And I thought we could make a very simple thin belly band with one of my strips that I've just sewn along. This is too long, so we'll just shorten that a little bit. And even this, of course, is a piece that I can use in something. So that will go in my box with the tiny scraps. Yep, I think this is gonna fit. So I'm just gonna glue that down on both sides. We could, of course, add another butterfly or something on top here. Oh, and I just had another idea. So I have some more tiny, tiny butterflies here. And I was thinking, what if we actually added some on top here as well? On top of the frame like that. I think that would be really cute. Should we use the same color? I like it, I like it. I think it would be super cute if you had clear embossing powder or this embossing glaze that you would dip these butterflies in there and then have them shiny. That would be super cute, but I have neither of those, so I'm not gonna do that. But I think that might be one thing that I will purchase eventually. Okay, like that. I think that is super cute. These are ready to be taken off. Let's just dress the edges on the back. So there's the front, there's the back. I can just stick it in here. And now I kind of think seeing all these butterflies, I think, well, actually, I thought it would be too much to add another one, but a tiny one like this actually could be cute. Maybe a little bit of cheesecloth underneath, just a little bit. Yes, super cute. Does it need anything on top? Yeah, let's do something. Let's make a small hole. I thought maybe we can use some of this fun Arvel yarn here. So let's see how that might look. I will double it up because it is quite delicate. Just make a little bow around it like that. I think it's cute. Just a tiny accent. And she can just live in there. Oh, I think it's cute. I think it just gives a little splash of color on the page. It's perfect. So that's 3 pages for you today. So we have this one with Joie's inspiration. Very cute and interactive. I actually love the bugs. Very cute. Then we have this cute tag here. And then we have my favorite, which is this grungy tag or grungy page here. Love, love, love it. So I hope this gives you inspiration for your journals. Please check out those other 2 videos from Tina and Joie. If you haven't seen them, please come visit me again. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Mwah. Mwah.